In a world where diplomacy often moves at a slow and calculated pace, India has just proven that it can rewrite the rules in less than a day. In a remarkable turn of events, Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered not one, but two major geopolitical shocks within a 12-hour window. Moves that rippled from Washington to Moscow and left the global stage buzzing. This wasn't business as usual. This wasn't political theater. It was a bold, values-driven display of Indian sovereignty and strategic independence. It was India saying loud and clear, "We will not be anyone's pawn. We set our own course. We are the game changers." For decades, India was often seen as the cautious mediator, a bridge between East and West, carefully preserving its historic ties with Russia while deepening partnerships with the United States and other Western powers. That era, it seems, is over. Modi's double move has signaled the arrival of a more confident, assertive India that is willing to break free from the constraints of the old non-alignment diplomacy and chart its own destiny. This wasn't about playing sides. It was about refusing to play by outdated rules. In a multipolar world where alliances are fragile and global politics is dominated by power plays, India's message was unmistakable. We define ourselves. The first decision caught observers off guard. The second confirmed it wasn't a fluke. Together, they represented a geopolitical shift, a decisive rejection of the idea that India must choose between great powers. These moves were not reactions born out of pressure or fear. They were calculated acts of self-respect and long-term strategy. Both Donald Trump and the Kremlin reportedly felt the sting, but Modi's message went far beyond the United States and Russia. It reached every nation trying to box India into predefined roles. It was a lesson in strategic autonomy, a declaration that India will engage with the world on its own terms, not as a subordinate, but as an equal power. Unlike the noisy posturing that defines so much of today's politics, Modi's approach was rooted in clarity of purpose, cultural pride, and an unwavering commitment to national interest. He demonstrated that leadership doesn't require flashy headlines or public confrontations. It requires moral strength and strategic vision. While some leaders seek validation from international applause, Modi is focused on protecting India's sovereignty, advancing its economic power, and strengthening its strategic position without compromising identity. It's leadership that builds from within, sustained by public trust, national pride, and a deep understanding of India's historical resilience. This is not just a foreign policy shift. It's a philosophical one. India is moving from being a participant in global affairs to being a central architect of the conversation. The goal is not to replace one superpower with another, but to offer a new kind of influence, one based on fairness, dignity, and mutual respect. Modi's India is proving that true global leadership comes from values and vision, not intimidation. It's about walking a path so deliberate and principled that others are inspired to follow. In this model, strength is measured not by how many you can overpower, but by how many you can uplift. In the 20th century, power was measured in military arsenals, territorial control, and the ability to dominate global conversations. In the 21st century, India is offering a different blueprint, one where intention outweighs influence when grounded in principles and purpose. These two strategic moves, executed within hours, were not impulsive gestures. They were carefully timed signals that India is prepared to lead in a way that is deliberate, balanced, and bold. Modi has made it clear. India will no longer wait for a seat at someone else's table. It will build its own, and the world is welcome to join. India's rise is not about defiance for the sake of defiance. It is about independence, identity, and the courage to say no when the national interest demands it. It's a rejection of manipulation, a refusal to compromise dignity, and a declaration that India is ready to lead from the center of the global stage. In an era of political noise and shallow alliances, India's example is a reminder that lasting power comes from being anchored in values, not swayed by global trends. The world is watching, and many nations, large and small, are taking note. India is no longer the silent observer in world affairs. Under PM Narendra Modi, it is the architect of its future and a shaper of the emerging multipolar order. This is not just a shift in diplomacy, it's a shift in the definition of power itself.